Well, happy Fridays, Wildcards. We're here with another episode of Office Hours. And joining us today is Mr. Brian Reeves. Welcome, Brian.
Hello.
And Tracy's in the chat, not getting any work done, which is fine. It's Friday. It's good. It's all good.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And then there's John Doom, who's always here because it's contractually obligated that we have at least one fan in the audience. So how's it going, JD? So Brian, welcome to the Office Hours. I think we'll start off with the age-old question: where were you born? Where did you grow up? What was your childhood like?
Oh man, well, you're going way back. Okay,
Right.
yeah, weirdly enough, I was born in Salt Lake City, Utah, but we're not Mormons or anything. We my dad was in mining, so that happened to be where the jobs were at the moment. And then we ended up moving to Spokane, Washington, back in the mid 70s. That's where I spent the rest of my formative years.
Nice. So West Coast
Spokane,
too.
Washington, yeah. Always been. I ended up going to college here, and then I moved off to Florida and did some time in Peace Corps in South America. Lived in Hawaii a couple different times. Ended up back in.
Yeah, well, we're not going to gloss over all that because.
Let's gloss.
No. Let's talk about. Oh my God! Look at this.
No.
How cute is
Where
that?
did you dig up this?
I mean,
yeah, that's me.
Mount Rushmore's parking lot, like really to the side, like Brian Reeves was here.
Yeah, I left a little carving. No.
Oh my
God.
It's
that would be circa about 1974. I want to say. Yeah, no, I wish I had that much hair still.
I know. I look at my pictures. I'm like, like there was literally a time in my life where I told the barber, thin it out on top. It's too thick. I'm like, I want to go back and punch myself for ever saying that to any barber. Like, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I know. I used to have really long hair.
We'll get to that, sir. We'll get to that.
And I ended up having it cut. Why did I cut? I should have enjoyed it while I had it. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, there you go.
Look at your little toe head.
A couple years later. Kindergarten,
good times. So 70s. I love the textured print on the paper. Like,
yes, they loved that for some reason, and thankfully this one hasn't turned all sort of eggplant color because over time, like I don't know what was in the ink that they used at the time with the paper or whatever it was, but just about every picture from back then, it's either eggplant color or it's gone all sort of avocado color. Which is kind of interesting considering that those were the two primary colors of people's couches.
Oh my God. Do you want to Harvest gold and avocado green? Is that what it was?
Yes. Yeah. I forget the gold. It was it's kind of like almost like an ochre color. Right?
Yeah, right. And like the paisley pattern on the couch that had like different textures, and like everyone's grandma had that couch. For some reason, like all the grandmas probably got like a door-to-door salesman who came by and like pitched them on that couch. Oh my God,
kids these days don't even know.
Right,
okay, now. Yes, okay. This was my 10th birthday party. I was crazy into E.T. It wouldn't be very much longer after that before I switched over to Raiders of the Lost Ark, another Spielberg property, and you can see a huge indie shrine over my shoulder here. It has like a lot of all the books and role-playing games and figures and stuff like that. But for this brief moment of time, I was super into E.T. And then for my 50th birthday, about a year and a half ago, my wife organized this insane party for me. Brought friends from all over the place. And she found a shirt just like that. That fit me, because clearly that one would not fit me. Who even knows where it is? And then so I got to dress just like that.
What a keeper.
40 years later, I guess it'd be it. Oh, yeah, she was amazing.
Yeah, I love the cake too. I mean, someone went to like the trouble, like that made the actual ET on the face on the cake.
That probably cost an extra, well, for the time, maybe $5 over at Albertsons.
I mean, oh my God, that's so awesome. Okay, so which one? I think I know which one's you.
Yeah, well, it's definitely not the three in the middle. Those are all kids I knew. Well, I'm on I guess it would be the right-hand side. That's me.
Looking deliciously or looking longingly at your delicious chocolate.
That's me. The one next to me is my sister, who she's actually about 4, almost 5 years younger. That she doesn't look like it there.
Yeah, girls get that unfair growth spurt before boys do a lot of times. Like, they kick our butt at soccer when they go at youth leagues. I miss those jackets, like little
those
puffers
puffy,
with the nice lines in them. Like,
oh man, that was the moon boots era too.
Oh,
Y'all don't even know. Yeah, the moon boots. You pretend you're an astronaut and you're freezing your ass off at school.
Oh my god, we had those. Yes. Oh, so good, so good. Okay, so here we go. Here's the Michael Bolton moment. That's the hair.
Oh yeah, Michael Bolton. Oh my god. So yeah, right around I started growing my hair out, and then I looked so much like Michael Bolton. You have no idea. I used to work at Musicland in the mall, and my boss used to joke about setting up like a little table out front and having me pretend I was Michael Bolton and sign CDs because I looked so much like him.
Oh my god!
And the hair. Oh my gosh, I missed that hair.
Oh, that's so great. So I have this conspiracy theory that, like, in Lynch's Dune, there's a picture of a drummer, and I swear to God, it looks just like Michael Bolton. And I don't know, somewhere on the internet it says it's not Michael Bolton, but I'm like, oh, it looks so much like Michael Bolton. It's got to be Michael Bolton. So I'll have to pull that up.
Yeah,
I'll pull that during my office hours, my Lynch conspiracy theories.
Started losing that in my late 20s, and I don't know, man.
It is glorious. At least there's photographic evidence.
Yeah, definitely lots of photographic evidence.
I mean, it's fun. There's a picture a little later where your wife is playing the lion, and I was like, oh, you could be a lion too with this movie. Which was
Oh yeah.
So this is your Peace Corps group. I didn't find any photos of when you were in the Peace Corps. Where did you serve in the Peace Corps?
I was in Guyana in South America. Yeah, it's right next to Venezuela.
Nice. So what did you do? What was your experience like? Give me all the deets.
The
jungle, building with trees.
It was a great time. I have to say, it was a challenging time, but it was a lot of fun. I was down there for education, and they had me working at a place called the Adult Education Association in the Berbice region, which I had college education experience, so it made sense to put me there. It was wild. I had actually been in Peace Corps before that, but I had left during training, kind of wasn't quite ready for that, I guess. And that was in the Eastern Caribbean. And man, yes, St. Lucia, Dominica. Yeah, that was pretty swank. But so I served in Guyana for a while, and right after that is when I moved back to Hawaii. These lovely people, these were all people in my cohort who came with me for training, and
I noticed the hibiscus T-shirt already. So it's like, so you already had found your way to Hawaii by then.
Yeah, no, I lived in Hawaii when I was in my early 20s for about a year. It was very a formative experience, you could say. I went there with a tourist mentality, thinking that I was so naive, man. I thought life in Hawaii is just easy peasy, right? Just like a lot of relaxation and stuff like that. It was basically the image that the tourist industry likes to sell. And it's fine if you're a tourist and you're going to be staying in a hotel for about 2 weeks, but it's totally different if you're going to be living in like a little sweltering 1-bedroom walk-up in Makiki Heights or something like that, out of Waikiki. Although I did live in Waikiki for about 6 weeks. That was a good time. But,
and then the money dried up because it's so expensive. Like everything.
It was insane.
Everything is expensive.
Oh, yeah. Which is, and actually this was in the early, I want to say about 94, 95. And I think my apartment was about $800 a month in Waikiki then, which was a huge amount of money then. Can only imagine how much it'd be now. Yeah. Oh yeah. So I'd already been to Hawaii and gone, and it was right after this that I moved right back there because I was ready to try again. I lived there for 2 years at that.
Is that where you met your wife?
No, I met my wife when I moved back here to Portland from Hawaii. Stayed by my sister for a little while, and I met my wife in a writing group right here in Portland.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I joined a writing group with another person I knew, and there she was. Yeah, that's her. That's my daughter. And a lot of people. So we named our daughter Leilani, which obviously a Hawaiian name. My wife is Mexican, not Hawaiian, but everybody, of course, leaps to the conclusion that she's
Hawaiian now.
Yeah. Yeah, that was. I don't know if you can place this particular photo, but that would be the Jungle Cruise in Disneyland.
Oh, nice. Oh, good deal. So Disney fan, obviously. That's good. That's good.
Yeah, or at least I guess Disney's okay, but I definitely like that part of Disney. I'd go to Disneyland any day. Just put me on an airplane, man, please.
Yeah, it's getting more and more expensive, man. Every year, it's just like, oh. Used to be if you knew a local, like you could get the local rates, they could take you, and then like, oh, not anymore. No. Oh, nice. So what does Leilani mean? Is it?
It means like heavenly flower. Basically, it's like a flower garland. A lei is a flower garland, and Lani means heavenly or beautiful. It's kind of like a combination of those two things, right? So yeah, it's a pretty common name in Hawaii, but not so much over here.
It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
So have you taken her back to Hawaii? Has she been to Hawaii with you guys?
We have, and this was the trip we took just before COVID. We went to Hawaii. Oh man, that was a good time. We spent about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks, Big Island, and back over to Oahu, and hung out. This was on the Big Island at a luau we went to over there. But yeah, that was amazing. It was just before COVID. Oh, and we flew back, and I want to say it was maybe 2 weeks later. Round trip ticket prices to Hawaii plummeted to like $200. Right?
Let's go back, honey.
I'm like, yeah, but of course you'd be quarantined in your hotel room for 2 weeks. Couldn't go to the beach, couldn't do nothing. So there was almost no point in going there unless you had friends there or something. Or if you I wish I had thought about this, but you probably could have got a cut rate on like a beachfront property, and then oh no, we're quarantined. Oh no, for 2 weeks in a beachfront mansion, for a fraction of what we'd have spent months before. But oh well, we missed that.
Well, I mean, it's good you got a little vitamin C right before COVID to like hold you over, because like the whole inside thing for 2 years, better part of 2 years, like geez.
Oh yeah.
What was it like? Did you do the homeschooling, or was your kids homeschooled during COVID, or how did that work out?
We did a little bit of both. For a little while, we thought we're just going to completely convert to homeschooling. Both my wife and I are in education, or at least I was, prior to this. And I taught college English for 20 years. She's been teaching like the elementary school level for 20 years. So we probably would have been pretty decent at it. Although she was working daily. I was a part-time college instructor, so I could do it kind of almost like whenever. It was asynchronous, so whatever. So I could really focus on teaching my daughter lessons and stuff like that. But when school started coming back part-time, she really, 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 really wanted to go because she missed all the kids, right? She missed the social angle, which I definitely don't blame her. And so we're like, okay, fine, that's fine. And yeah.
No, that's good. Well, I'm glad you all survived literally and mentally.
Yeah.
So I've got an inkling what your answer for this question is, and I think we're kind of at those screen grabs I grab. But what is your favorite holiday, sir?
My favorite holiday is definitely Halloween.
There we go. Okay, 100%. This was not planned before. We did not script this out beforehand.
No.
Just knowing Brian's penchant for like really fun costumes.
Yeah, well, I'm going to give my wife credit because this is really kind of her push. I like Halloween, but she really likes to dress up and things like that, and so we dress up every year. We do like a costume. If you're on Facebook and happen to be a friend of mine or something, like you can look back through like the last 13, 14, almost 15 years now of Halloween costumes. This particular thing here, though, this was Dia de los Muertos, which we went down to San Francisco for, which is a couple days after Halloween, and man, that was a good time. That was it's an amazing experience. Huge parades and
so cute.
Ofrendas in the park and stuff like that. Here's a Halloween picture. Yep. Yep. Obviously, I'm some sort of explorer. I still have the pith helmet somewhere, and my wife is a lion, and my daughter was an elephant.
Oh, so cute.
We like to do these themed costumes.
They're very good.
Okay.
This one's super convincing, sir. I got to admit, better than the M. Night Shyamalan movie. I'll put it out there.
That's a low bar. Yeah, here I'm Tenzin. This was just about 2 Halloweens ago, I want to say. That was good. My wife made that costume. I dyed my beard. She drew the arrow on my head.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Very successful. This was at an auction for a preschool. When my daughter was in preschool, I was on the preschool board for 2 years, and or 1 year. I guess it was just 1 year. But we used to have auctions to raise some money, and we had a photo booth and things like that. So.
Well, I mean, and super fitting now that you're basically in charge of Deadlands. So
I know. I guess I should probably do my mustache like that now. really own it, right?
Yeah, get into it. I mean, live action.
Cowboy hat.
So, oh my god, so good. So
Wow.
that was a fun little trip down memory lane. So, of all the places you've gone in the world, I mean, where? So you've been in Guyana, you've been to Hawaii, you've been into the Caribbean. Anywhere, Europe, Asia, Africa, any of that?
Oh gosh, I wish. So I have never been farther east than Barbados, but I have been to Fiji, New Zealand, and Australia.
Oh God, there's one picture. Yes. No, did I forget to pull it? There's one more picture. Maybe. Speaking of Australia, let me go find that one. I threw it up as the teaser. Here we go. Let me pull it back up, get it queued. So what was Australia like? I mean, how was it, like a 16-17 hour flight?
Oh my god, it was so awesome. Yeah, I was 16, I think, when we went there. We went there for the 1988 World's Fair, which was taking place. Yeah, it was great. It was up in what's the name of that town? I forget the name of the city. It's sort of on the northeast coast. Australia's always reminds me a little bit of North America, but sort of like flipped, right? Maybe rotated because very empty in the center. Their west coast is kind of less populated, kind of like our west coast. Their east coast is very like all the big cities, Sydney, Brisbane. But instead of as you go south here, it gets tropical. You go north, it gets tropical. We went up to where it becomes almost like they're Florida, right? There's like the Great Barrier Reef up there and stuff like that. It was amazing, absolutely amazing. Okay, yes.
Here it is, young Brian, and I assume your sister. Adorable koala, but apparently they're quite odoriferous. So how would you describe? I mean, a licorice stink, a skunk stink, fecal stink. I mean,
it's just sort of like it's kind of like that wet dog smell, but with a little extra funk to it, a little bit of extra musk going on. Yeah. They're cute though.
Super. I mean, this one's hamming it up for the camera, clearly knows. Yes.
Oh yeah. Do this and you get some food. So I mean, yes. Look at the hair, exactly.
Oh my god, I love it.
I'm seeing these comments come in. I want to come back to some of them, but yes, look at that hair, indeed.
Oh my god, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so apparently, I was a big fan of all the non-bear bears. When I was a kid, so I did a whole book on pandas and koalas as the bears that aren't bears, and so I'm a little disappointed to know that they're so funky, literally.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could bathe them. They're super they're super mellow.
Yeah, well, apparently they drop out of the trees occasionally, so they call them drop bears or whatever.
Yes, and I guess I'm not a biologist, so maybe I'm wrong about this, but I've heard that they eat pretty much nothing but eucalyptus leaves, and they spend their entire lives in a state of, higher state.
It's just, well, I mean, apparently, like upwards of like 50% of koalas have chlamydia, so like they're just enjoying life and getting around. Apparently, Oh my god.
We got to hold a sloth while we were down in Colombia, and it was a similar kind of experience. Very kind of, it's like holding a fuzzy, tiny stoner or something like that. But they're kind of cool.
So I've been to Hawaii, luckily twice. So I've got to swim and like off the beach. Like I mean, there are certain weird places in America where you can have like wildlife experiences, like in like Yellowstone. You can just like they're just there. There's a bear on the side of the road, and these elk.
Yeah, huge traffic jam. And you're like, what is going on? And you see like all these freaking buffalo or
right, and don't honk. They will destroy your vehicle. Don't get out and pet them. They will destroy you.
Gosh.
But in Hawaii, I had like just swimming off the beach, I ran into like a sea turtle. And I'm like, oh my god! Like the Finding Nemo personification of sea turtles is just like, dude, it's very accurate. They're just super chill. I'm like, it's swimming right, and you can't touch them, right? It's like super thousands of dollars a fine if you
Yeah. I wouldn't like really dare anyway, but I see. Like you can go to swimming in various like locations, even ones fairly close to the city. The amount of animals has been like drastically reduced, but you can still swim amongst all kinds of fish. When we were in the Big Island swimming, I saw a sea snake. That was pretty exciting.
Oh, they're very
little stripe, like black and white the stripes. Yeah, it was just like going along just near my feet in these rocks. That was pretty cool.
Can you pronounce the official fish of Hawaii, the humu humu nuku nuku?
Yeah, the humu humu nuku nuku apua.
There we go. Nice.
Yes.
A+.
I haven't seen one of those, but I've seen a bunch of the clownfish and various angelfish.
I think I've only seen one in the we went to the one that's like super touristy, little bay that's all like, and they make you do like a little nature.
Hanauma Bay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Hanauma Bay. Yeah, and they so you do this like most of the time you're there, you're inside watching a video on like don't kill this, please. So you have to go now. I mean, it was a couple years ago, but like you had to watch a nature video, and they showed you all the things like, yes, don't touch this, please. And
that's probably good. When I went there was mid 90s, and it's like you just parked and walked in.
Oh yeah. So now it's
all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, now it's gate kept, and like it's still very full, but they limit the number of people who are there, so it's not.
Yeah.
That's also just kind of for water quality, because like apparently when you slather on the sunscreen and sunscreen leaching off into the bay is not super great. So they're like,
you just see people just completely. They cover themselves up and then immediately go into the water.
No.
And the water was a little cloudy. I remember it being cloudy. So, people just walking all over the reef and stuff,
Yeah, so I thought with the whole video, they're like, yes, please do not stand up here. Swim, but don't touch him. So
try everything you can do to not touch that reef, because
it is kind of sad, right? It's they're kind of like nature's wonders are only kind of great, like hopefully you could appreciate them, but then it's like, oh wait, me and everybody else in the world wants to appreciate this one on this specific day. I think one of the other highlights of that day was there was a TV personality back in like the 2000s, Dog the Bounty Hunter.
Oh yeah.
And he had a TV show. Like he was actually from Colorado, so we would get like the local Colorado guy gets TV show news. And I ran into I saw him and his kids. I guess they live on the Big Island, or did at the time. But yeah, that was our celebrity run-in. That and Kelsey Grammer in Maui. Kelsey and Fraser.
Yeah, so that makes sense. Maui.
So,
yeah.
So Hawaii is fun. Hawaii is cool. So so Australia. You also said another like Fiji, or
we spent like a week in Fiji back in that same trip. beautiful. Fantastic.
Fun. So how do you mean? Is it all little like big airplane to Australia and then little tiny airplane or boat, or how do you get around?
No. Well, gosh, oh man. Well, this is 88, right? So I bet it's a bit faster now, but yeah, it was about it took us about, I want to say about 16 hours to get there. Almost all of that time was spent on airplane. It was a long slog. Thank goodness I was in like.
You got to take a lot of vacations just to recover from how long it takes to get there.
Yeah, we stopped over in Tahiti. So technically, I've been to Tahiti. Technically, we stopped over there in the middle of the night. The plane landed. It was like new moon. Couldn't see anything as we were coming down. Pitch black. It was like trying to land on an asteroid. Right, you couldn't see anything until the last second. And then all of a sudden, some lights came by, and then we landed. We got out, walked into the little tiny airport that they had in Papeete, right, and hung out there for about 3 hours while they refueled. It was like 1 a.m. Yet still there was like a group of people performing music and stuff like that in like the little sort of the central area. And we got back on the airplane, took off. And so I've walked around on Tahitian soil, but I didn't see anything. I couldn't see the mountains. I could see nothing. So I have a big debate going on with my wife about whether or not I've been to Tahiti or not, right?
You've had experience, Tahiti. You were in.
Yeah, she said, no, you have to have an experience. So I said, well, I had one, but I didn't see it. So what's more important, the experience or seeing it? Like, technically I've been to Barbados, but I didn't get out of the airplane. So does that count? My body has been to Barbados.
I guess you get to mark it off on the map of like the place you've been, but right.
Flag? No, I didn't plant any flags.
Did you Eddie Izzard it? Did you?
I set down the cocktail flag, if that counts.
Right, a little umbrella from my.
Well, I guess it would have been a Shirley Temple at that time. But.
Oh, true. A little young, yes. So, so one of the cool kind of questions I've asked most folks, like any scars or tattoos?
I have one tattoo.
You want to show it?
Yeah, sure. It's from. Ooh, I don't know if you can see that. This is a Hawaiian petroglyph of a Polynesian voyaging canoe.
Oh, nice.
And it's obviously a bit old. You can tell by the way that it is. I got that in 2001. I went over to Hawaii. This was when I was in grad school. I was in Tallahassee, Florida, but there was a program called Camp Adventure, which is kind of funny that I even did anything like that. But it's like this organization that sends people all over the world to military bases to do summer camp, right? So a friend of mine and we went to Hawaii that summer. And so I got to go back there just for, I think it was like 6 weeks. It wasn't very long, but it was nice to be back for just a little bit. And that's when I got this sweet tat. I found a local place. I really wanted to get the kind, the traditional kind with like the little sharp whale bone and they tap. But first of all, I have no idea who does that stuff. Second of all, I can't even imagine how much it would cost. Third of all, I don't know if they would have been super keen on doing it to some haole just passing through. But anyway, yeah, I was pretty excited to get that little tattoo. That's the only tattoo I've got. I always imagined adding more, but
it's cool. I kind of like the spirit of it. I mean, like it's definitely reflective of your.
It's the journey, right?
Right, like just like the travel, like that. You've been around that part of the world, the globe. I don't know. It's very kind of cool. The Voyager spirit. So
yeah.
How's it going, Evil Gamer? Apparently, we're doing good today. We're just talking Brian's amazing life in Hawaii and Barbados. Extensive experience in Barbados and Tahiti.
Extensive.
All of the runways, experiencing the runways.
Yes. I'm a veteran of the airways. The airports. Yeah.
So anywhere that you haven't been yet that you'd like to go? Like, is there a bucket list place?
There's no bucket that could hold that much. I want to go. There's no place in this whole wide world that I would not go. Some places somebody would have to pay my way, but I would still go. Like as much as I can't stand the cold, I would go to Antarctica. I would. I'd probably be able to last there 12 hours tops, but I'd be ready to go just moments after touching down, probably. But I'd go.
I totally. I mean, I don't know Antarctica. I mean, yes, definitely. But like,
I mean, just
I love doing the Arctic and doing like the Northwest Passage and like going and visiting the locations of like the Franklin expedition and.
Oh yeah, that'd be wild, huh? It'd be like
the
ice I'm standing on directly underneath me is the Erebus.
Right? Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, hundreds of people went insane here and died just about 300 years ago. But
right. Just to find
I came here in my yacht.
That's true, right? Yes. Is there a Coke machine somewhere here? Is like, where's the bathroom?
Yeah.
Tourist shop? Is there? Can I break something?
Oh God!
But it's funny. They'd be like the whole reason there was to find a faster way to get to India of all places. Yeah, to get to the Orient.
Right.
But I don't know. I'm a big fan of the Stan Rogers, the Canadian folk singer, and he's got that great Northwest Passage song, which is the kind of just lists off some of the original Canadian explorers and all that kind of stuff. And there's some cool stories there. There's just some really cool. I think even someone like someone's done like a Call of Cthulhu kind of version of the Erebus and the Terror and
I bet
just like what lies beneath and that whole kind of there's the whole exploration thing. I mean I just what in the modern world, what is the equivalent, right? Like where is the great beyond? Where's the new frontier? Where's the new exploration?
The bottom of the ocean, maybe, I guess, on this planet.
Right, it's true. There's a whole lot of ocean out there that we don't know a whole lot about. And I still kind of love that we have uncontacted tribes or limitedly contacted tribes that are just still rocking it, and it's like that's just cool to me. That whole concept of like,
when can that happen?
Right? It's crazy world we live in. So how did you get into role playing, sir? Like what was the initial like I want to be a gamer?
Well, when I was a kid, my dad was really into war games, right? I'm talking like Squad Leader, those little games, right? With the big boards, with a billion little tiny cardboard chits and stuff. This was really kind of
the Avalon Hill kind of.
Yes, that era, right? Just before they started getting more into miniatures and stuff like that. So he had all these, he had a lot of those kind of games, and he ran those kind of circles. I was 10 years old, and he knew of a game. He used to go to a game store in Spokane, and I guess somebody told him, "Hey, just get your son this for his birthday." And so he brought home like a Dungeons and Dragons, the old red box. The one with the Errol Otis art on the front. That was my first introduction. And he ended up getting me the AD&D books, I think a year later, which were way beyond me, but I really liked the art, And so that was really
a little bit of math, man. It is. It's like,
oh my gosh, those books. I look at that now and go, how did anyone play this game?
How did we run this? What was going on in our heads?
Yeah,
well, it's just the fact that there weren't skills, so you could only pick a lock if you had a thief. Like no one else could pick a lock. That there was just, sorry.
And you had your like 35% chance. Roll your percentage dice, right?
Oh, and failure was just so much higher on all the stuff, and like a lot of those first adventures were just kind of cruel, all things considered. Like you're gonna die. Like some of them are famously cruel. Like there's a gaping mouth. What do you do? Like
I'll put my head in it.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Sorry. I swear, like how many parties they're trying to figure out? Like, well, there's got to be some way of not being dead going through this. No, there's no way of not being dead. It's literally just gonna kill you.
Don't go this direction at all.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's true.
Oh yeah, AD&D, man. I agree, Tracy. It was kind of unplayable, which makes me, now that I'm an adult and look at it, I feel a little bit better because 10, 11, 12-year-old me couldn't make heads or tails of it. But thank goodness they had basic because it was a little bit easier to handle.
Yeah,
I did basic expert for many years.
I'm in that weird generation where like the OSR doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me because I'm not nostalgic for the red box and the other kind of early versions. Like AD&D was my an entry into RPGs. So like I just remember Delayed Blast Fireball was the craziest thing ever, and the Staff of Magi was the most overpowered magical item, and
the legendary. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right. Just like
yeah.
So
It is, and actually, it was from Basic BX, right? That was my very first RPG product that I ever wrote. I was really into Thundercats, and so I did a Thundercats. You got splashed. I did
I fucking
Thundercats
love Thundercats, man.
conversion. Yes, using Basic D&D for that. I still have that in a box somewhere around here. And I actually ran it a few times for my friends. We had like a mini campaign, probably lasted 2 months or something. Yeah,
that's so good.
It was fun. Yeah, and then I moved on to Call of Cthulhu, and it was just from there grew. Torg, all kinds of stuff.
I mean, I think it's notable that kind of the rare exception amongst most RPGers, especially with like the however big it really was, the Satanic Panic, of the 80s, like. It's rare that you got introduced to it by your dad, especially in that era. From one gamer to another, that's very cool. Yeah, and I mean a lot of people was like, this was a little rebellion on my part, or my parents didn't approve, or had to get in my peers. And how's it going, Nelson? Have you ever been to Brazil? Speaking of which, or Portugal? Either way, no. Okay. Well, on the list.
It is. It's definitely on the list. There's no place that's not on the list, but there's definitely some that are higher, like Egypt or something, right?
Egypt's amazing. Okay, sad thing about I won't take up your time. This is I've got it, but Egypt's gotten, I think, a little worse as far as tourism goes since the Arab Spring and the Muslim Brotherhood. But I had an amazing several weeks in Egypt. It was just like trip of a lifetime. Amazing.
Oh, I bet.
So much fun. So I'll talk about that later. But yes, that's one. Like don't miss Egypt. Like that's super Indiana Jones too. Like oh my god, of all the places.
Yeah.
So we usually stream later, but we tried doing these a little earlier on Fridays. Wanted to get some European folks in so they can see before they're all. We had someone from India in the chat, so awesome. It's working. Or Asian, I guess. Yeah, not European, but all around the globe. And also it's Friday, so we want you to get out and play Savage Worlds, so you're not watching our stream when you should be playing Savage Worlds over the weekend.
Must be pretty late at night over there in India, like around 10 or 11 at night, maybe? Something like that?
I'd go Google it, but I didn't.
Or the other way.
Sure. I think it's at least halfway around the world, right? So
yeah, I think halfway from where I am anyway is basically Kuwait.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm not so used to that, so...
Yeah, I looked at the antipode for where I am, and I think the antipode for Colorado is like ocean.
It's in the ocean. Yeah. Pretty much most of the United States is the Indian Ocean is on the other side of the world.
Yeah. So no cool sister city that's exactly halfway across the planet, but India would be fun. I mean, I'm a big fan of all the curries. Kuwait's 10 hours. Yeah. So we've gotten Savage Worlds. When was the first time you ever got around to picking up Savage Worlds?
Oh yes. Well, it was 2006. I had moved back to Hawaii and I was setting up a game group, right? But I had just spent the last 5 years, like every 6 years, really, just like everybody else, playing a whole lot of 3rd edition D&D. And unlike, I think, a lot of people, trying really hard to make it bend to my will, because the sort of like high power, high fantasy thing is fine, but I like a lot of things, right? I also like low magic, almost no magic, maybe no magic, like Conan style stuff, right? And you just can't do that. I also like... there's other things like hit points that I don't know. I'm just not a big fan. I wanted something else, right? And so I looked around for something that was more easy to adapt. And at that time, Savage Worlds, I think, was maybe, Savage Worlds was probably 3 years old or something at that point. Nice. It wasn't very old. I think it was on its 2nd edition at that point, right? and I found it and bought it, and I wanted to adapt my old favorite game, Torg, but didn't want to use Torg necessarily. Like the old, it moved on. My sensibilities had changed, I guess, and so I adapted it for Savage Worlds. I ended up writing the whole thing up, making like a little web zine of it, I guess you could say, which was my sort of like at that time, like my most notable, I guess, fan contribution to Savage Worlds. I'd done a couple of other little things. One of them was a retake on the powers list to try to break them up into by rank, right? So as you increase in rank, the powers increase with you, right? So
yeah,
that way there's a version even at novice level of all powers, including like the stuff that's usually reserved for seasoned or veteran. That was one of like the very first things I did, but the biggest one was Savage Torg. That was really kind of my intro into it, and I've been with it almost exclusively ever since. I mean, I have a bunch of other games back here, but and I've played a lot of them, but Savage Worlds is obviously the one that I always come back to.
Was there? So JD asks, was there an aha moment that really kind of you fell in love with Savage Worlds?
Yeah, I think it was when it was when I was writing Savage Torg, probably because it was just so easy to create stuff for it that didn't just completely break it, right? Where if I try to do Torg for 3E, right, for the D20 system, it would have been a lot harder because trying to introduce some of the things, it would have just been hard to balance it, right? But Savage World is just so much easier to balance. I mean, there's not a game system out there that you can't break if you try hard enough, but Savage Worlds has a way better like bend to it. You know what I mean? It's so much more forgiving. It's just so much easier to work with than honestly most systems that I've played with.
Yeah, for me, it's Benny's. I think my aha moment was playing like in a Neil Hyde game at a con and just having like coming out of the GURPS ecosystem, which that wonderful 3D6 bell curves, it feels real. It feels very real.
Like the bell curve. That right, was nice.
But there's just no re-rolling. You have to live with all those rolls. And when you're like, wait a minute, Savage Worlds, I don't have to live with failure. I can succeed when I really want to succeed and choose to fail when you're in players' hands, at least in a certain limited way with Benny's. And oh my God, that was just like, I never want to play another game without that level of player agency. And Savage Worlds
is where it's at. So. I had been introduced to that earlier in Torg. Like the original Torg game had possibilities, which were a meta currency that you could spend to re-roll and do a couple other things like to essentially influence reality itself, right? And so Benny's, by that point, I was very used to the idea of meta currency. And honestly, every game I play, even 5th edition, when I've run 5th edition, they get hero points, Inspiration, I think, is what they call it. But you're supposed to only have one, but I give like way more than one because I just like that. I just like it when people have some way of, especially when the heat is on, or like those critical moments, to manipulate the die rolls in their favor. Yeah, original such influence.
I have a certain itching suspicion that should any of the Pinnacle properties ever make their way to 5th edition, the notion of a Benny has to be there. It can't just be like, oh, we're just going to stat stuff up and it's going to be vanilla 5th edition. Like the Benny economy is really part of the spirit that needs to go with it too. We need to hack 5e to have Bennies too. So the Tracy asks, right? Takes a good question. What was your favorite writing collab? Excuse me, Tracy. As the host of this show, I'm going to say the favorite writing. Well, actually, it wasn't a collab, but his favorite property to work on was Buccaneer Through Hell and High Water. That was his favorite mission.
I will say regarding that, it was a moment of a little bit of personal pride when Shane said that he had played in a game that the scenario that I wrote. And I was like, oh my God, Shane played my game. Liked it.
That's why it was an easy hire. I'm going to take credit for getting you on the PEG team going around because I saw your post being like, oh, my contract is up for university, so I've got full time. And I'm like, hey, Shane's like, Yeah, anybody who's got hey, Brian did an awesome thing for Buccaneer. Like, he's got time.
Wow.
Check him out. So I will take
Yes.
credit for getting you hired. So do I get like a manager 10%? Is that we do that correctly?
A cut.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also worked with a few other people. Like I did some stuff for oh gosh, what was it called? Savage Insider.
Yeah. Aaron Esposito. Yeah. Dope.
Yeah. Well, there was Aaron Huss.
Oh, us. Oh, that's right. Oh, Insider, not yes.
Yeah, it
Is
was
that Mythic Throne Entertainment? Yeah.
yes, Mystical Throne.
Yeah. Or Mystical.
It's been a few years, but yeah, I did some work. That was kind of where that was my first like paid Savage World stuff, and then I worked with like you guys, and I also wrote a couple of other adventures for like Wise Guys. I wrote one and stuff like that.
Yes.
But yeah, when I first started collaborating, the very first time I collaborated was actually with Daryl Hayhurst. We co-authored the big Nile Empire adventure for Torg Eternity, Fires of Ra. And prior to that, I had never collaborated with anybody. I didn't actually want to, but it wasn't up to me. And it actually worked out better because, we could run ideas off of each other. If one person had an idea, the other person could like build off of it or come up with other reasons. Hold on a second.
Yeah, right. Finishing moves notification.
Yeah. Yes. Letting me know that it's starting. Yeah. So that was like my first collaboration, and I would say it was very successful. That adventure has a place in my heart, right? Because, well, first of all, I just really love the Nile Empire. It's this crazy pulp action, Indiana Jones Rocketeer kind of thing. However, when I worked with other people all the way through Torg Eternity. Every time I was like the co-author of pretty much all of their huge adventures, save for the very first one, the God Box, which Shane wrote. But when I worked with Tracy, it was just so much better because like we worked together on an adventure for Aurorsh, which is this Victorian horror realm that has invaded India. And I have a sort of a tendency to focus on high action, high adventure, right? And so had it just been me writing it, it probably would have looked a little bit more like the Van Helsing movie or something, right? A little more corny maybe. And it wouldn't have been right, you know? Tracy brings in like a depth, right? She managed to like temper me, you know, and it was I really appreciated it because it made me stop and think, well, wait a minute, how can I bring in the horror and help me remember what I've always kind of like maybe subconsciously known about horror, and that is it really relies relies on tragedy, and there's like an emotion deep down inside of it. If it doesn't have emotion, you end up with like in a horror movie, right? The ones that don't have emotion are just slashers. They're like the 13 Ghosts movie or something. They're not. There's nothing. There's no there really. It's just like, oh no, terrible monster killing people. Oh no, watch out, run. Where
and
something
those
like The Ring has
really,
like
it's hard to bring to the table, right? Like, you don't have an orchestra, bringing up the intensity of the scene by playing faster and faster music, and then there's not a loud bang and a jump scare, at the table for those kind of things. So yeah, those
things aren't very effective anyway. But if you have a nice, like a tragedy at the heart of it, like I mentioned, the movie The Ring is a really good example, right? Where there's a lot of high emotion that is like sort of like some horrible experience that sort of caused the situation, right? And still saturates the whole thing. Those are the stories that I really like so much better. Why like the Gothic horror is so much better, like Dracula and stuff like that. There's just a lot of like yearning and stuff deep inside of it, that is missing in like something like Van Helsing. And so Tracy helped me remember that and bring it in. And so some of my favorite horror writing that I've ever done was for that. Yeah. Uh-oh. What happened? You got muted.
Of course, I muted myself so you didn't have to hear me sneeze. And then,
Okay. Oh, okay.
So thanks for so a quick quick question before we'll tackle JD's kind of about voice and maintaining voice. Have either you, Tracy, or JD seen the Changeling? Not the Angelina Jolie one, but the
From the 70s?
yes,
No,
the
I
same
have
actor George C. Scott was in it, and that one's got an interesting Colorado Denver tie to it, but it has that tragedy story. Yes, Patton is in it. Yes. Okay, so next time we're at a con, I'll have to find a bootleg copy or a DVD somewhere, and we'll have to watch it because it's like, it does well the kind of Victorian tragedy horror kind of elements that are based upon a true tragedy kind of. Anyways, I won't belabor the point. So JD mentions like maintaining a voice, like when you were collaborating with Tracy or Daryl. What's that like? How do you think obviously it sounds like the final product was better because of your combined efforts, but like do you think is it something else? Is it a third thing besides the sum of the parts, or what's the voice?
I don't know if there was no attempt to smooth it out so the voice was the same, so it seemed like the same person wrote all of it. I think if you read my chapters and I read Tracy's chapters, you could probably tell it was a different person. I was in charge of sort of doing layout and editing on it. So there were some areas where I messed with the text a little bit, but it was important to me to not take over and like undo anything that Tracy had done. So you can tell, and you can tell in all the adventures that I co-authored that if you really look, that a couple different people wrote these chapters, but and I don't think that was too much of a problem because we weren't trying to hide it or anything like it. If anyone asked me, I would have told them straight up which chapters I wrote and which chapters Tracy wrote, which ones I wrote, which ones Daryl wrote. But yeah, collective vision. Yes, that is true. Yeah, we worked together on putting together a nice, like a backstory and an order, like a flow to it, and it was just so much better.
So so we got just a few minutes left. Let's talk about Deadlands, sir, because I mean that's obviously Pinnacle's flagship property, and you are the current biggest cheerleader and contributor to Deadlands, and Hell in the High Plains is shipping to people's doorsteps as we speak, which is awesome.
I can't wait to get my copy.
Right, and we don't get our copies early, folks. They go out after you guys get your copies. Except for Simon, who gets the drafts from the printer.
Yeah, he gets those various wet drafts or whatever they're called, those proofs. Yeah. That's kind of cool.
Right, I'm going to be on that list, but those are very expensive. Like I know a lot of us, like when I was looking at getting stuff printed overseas, like how many hundreds of extra dollars I have to pay for one of those just to
just to make sure it looks good.
Right, we can do the digital. We can do the digital, but you don't always catch everything on the digital, like certain spinal.
No, that's true. Yeah.
But anyway,
like offset spine art and stuff like that.
Right, just a little thing. No one will notice. Mm-hmm. No one will notice. Good thing we're almost sold through those, so we can order new ones that have the spines corrected. But anyways, Deadlands. Right, it's a little thing. So where are we going? I mean, the name should be obvious, but where are we going in the next installment of the Deadlands Around the Country kind of
we're
additional books?
You guys are coming up here. Yeah. Washington, Oregon, and Idaho is are the topic of the next one. When I first wrote this back in last summer and a little bit into fall, and there was like we wanted to do some more stuff with the Kickstarter. Shane wanted to write a longer adventure to go with it and stuff like that. So, but it is all written. It has been written for a while. Originally, it was also going to include sort of like the northern half of Northern California. We've decided to have California be it's all its own book because there's so much going on in California with the maze and everything like that, right? So that'll be coming up afterwards, and we're already getting started on that process. And in fact, some of it's already written because I wrote some of it last year. But yeah, we're coming up here to Northwest, Washington, Oregon, Idaho.
So some of California's already written. Like Abominable Northwest is written, right? Like
it is. It's all written. Oh yeah, totally all written. Yeah. Yes, indeed. Art's placed, everything. So there's still a few more things we need to tinker with on it. But yeah, the thing is, we're going to be hitting it pretty soon, I believe. And the thing about it is, like, we cover 3 states, but the book is the same length, right? So you can expect a lot more sort of depth and locations, which is good because when you think of Deadlands, or at least when I think of Deadlands, I tend to think of Arizona, right? New Mexico, Texas, the Southwest. And so the Northwest, I don't think it doesn't get hit quite as much in Deadlands. So here's a chance for it to kind of stand out on the stage for a little while, give you lots of things to do with it, right? So you're going to have a lot of material taking place in these 3 states. There is definitely going to be some Wendigo. In fact, the adventure is called Night of the Wendigo. I actually haven't seen it yet. Yeah, Shane has it written, or most of it written, and he's been running it for a game group of his, and apparently it's been really
lethal.
Yes.
Is what I hear.
Insane. Yes, which is
the number
I can't wait to see it. Yeah.
Yeah, and Shane's very unrepentant about it, about how many player characters he's killed. So I don't
go in with your head screwed on straight. Yeah, you want to make sure you're smart on this one. We have like 3 different kinds of Sasquatch, by the way.
Which I am super. That is like more the better Sasquatch clans, Sasquatch types, Sasquatch plural nouns.
Yeah, the ones that you're familiar with, those are the brown Sasquatch. Those are the common ones, right? But in Idaho, they have a particular strain called the red Sasquatch. And then there are also some ones that are not quite as nice to live underground, the cave Sasquatch. And if you've ever seen, oh gosh, what was that movie? Why can't I think of that movie? It's about these women who go spelunking and run into some trouble underground. Anyway, they're kind of in that zone. If somebody could, somebody in the audience maybe will come up with
Was it the recent one, like the last 5-6 years? Descent, yeah.
The Descent, yes.
Benny to JD.
Yes. So they're not exactly ghouls, but they're definitely not the more like noble Sasquatch that you're gonna run into
the one
tooling around in the forest.
Make a cameo on your home video. You're like,
right. Right. Yeah.
So here's a question. Crater Lake Chronicles was awesome. The Alone in the West. Any more the solo play?
No, but I'm a huge fan of just sort of the interactive fiction genre engine. In fact, this whole bookcase behind me, all those, the whole thing are interactive fiction books, like old lone wolf books, fighting fantasy books. I just absolutely love those kind of books where you, and not just choose your own adventure, but the ones where you actually have a character and you have to roll and make, you have equipment and all that kind of stuff. I have a million of those things. I would love to see another one for Deadlands.
That's cool. So not on the plate right now, but never say never.
Maybe,
maybe
I'll
Garrett did a great job.
Yeah.
Right. Garrett, also the Abominable or the Crater Lake Chronicles was like super lethal if you didn't level up and armor up and get your equipment for that first little encounter. Like
yes. No. When I played it, I brought 4 characters and 2 of them died. Even using team like the gang up bonus and all kinds of stuff, man. It was rough stuff. So yeah, bring 4 characters.
Oh my god, yes, the lone wolf, yes. Well, and like D&D even put out some, like, I don't know whether they subcontracted like the lone wolf series, but like I've got the one that's like the samurai one.
Like samurai, you can see those the brown ones right over my shoulder. Those
yep.
Yep.
That's good.
Yep.
Oh, sorcery. Yeah.
Got the sorcery ones. Got all that's down here. Yeah, got them all.
My god, we got some geek cred going on. Like geek
I know. I even have a couple of the lone wolf ones that they were never released in the U.S. My ex-wife from many years ago, she went off to like on a trip to England. She brought back. I told her bring back those books because they were still available at the time, and she only brought 2 out of like 8, I think it was, but those two, each one's worth like $250 now, probably. They cost her like $5 at the time. Yeah, they're rare, and yeah.
Yeah, the Brits have an awesome tradition in kind of like gaming publishing. Like my little corner of that universe is the secret, or like the kind of the picture book hunts, where an artist would make very gorgeous paintings, and there would be some kind of like buried treasure that go along with it. And
that's interesting. Oh yes, I think I remember.
Yeah. So I would have pulled one of those off one of these days, to a worldwide or nationwide treasure hunt book.
I could never make heads or tails of this. I was looking at that, I just couldn't make any sense of it. I was like, you're supposed to get something out of this? I feel like I'm pretty good with puzzles and stuff, but there was some skill I just didn't have, or something I was supposed to do. I just couldn't figure it out.
Some are better than others.
Yes.
Yeah. Improvised weapons. Ooh, that penalty is a little harsh. But
yeah.
Yes. It's super fun. I really like what Garrett's done. So okay, so we've hinted. So Abominable Northwest is written and in playtesting and coming soon. Trademark.
Mm-hmm.
Then you've got California, and then are we continuing in like the general Southwest area? Is that the?
Yeah, I think the idea is. I don't think we intended to do it this way, but it's essentially going what would be counterclockwise, right? So after California, the current plan is to then move into the Arizona, like Nevada area, New Mexico area, and Texas. So good. So we've had a big discussion about how to break these things down and stuff. I mean, it's definitely still possible that things change, but that's the current plan. Mm-hmm. And we'd also like to get them happening a little faster. It was not the intention to have one a year or anything like that. So hopefully we can keep that going a little more.
Well, and then also, I mean, we won't give too many spoilers, but there's also 2 other cool initiatives. Speaking of bite-sized, more rapidly than once a year, you're also heading up 2 other initiatives on getting folks kind of fun content that'll come quickly.
Yes. And, one thing that people want, adventures, right?
Yeah.
And so, aside from one sheets, which are cool, but like nice single setting adventures you can bring to a convention, bring to your weekly table, try to talk your fans of other role playing games to give Savage Worlds a shot, because it'll have one contained adventure, pre-gens. We're going to start releasing these on a regular basis this summer.
Yeah, so good. So good. That's all we can say.
Mm-hmm.
I can say. Poor Brian's busy work. So,
I usually don't do spoilers, so this that's about as much as you're going to get out of me. But
good. Yeah. Yes, we will respect the process. If we talk anymore, I will. Nope.
Yeah. And I always want to make sure that there's an asterisk. In this industry, stuff changes.
Yeah, that's true.
But so until the Kickstarter begins, or whatever begins, things are a little bit more fluid. But that is definitely currently the plan, and it's coming along. Mm-hmm.
Awesome, so good. Okay. One more little thing, because I actually don't know the answer to this question. So Deadlands Dark Ages is coming at some point. Have you edited? Are you on that project at all? Is that
Simon's on that project? I've looked at the book, or like the manuscript. Really, it's all at the moment it's manuscript form. Mainly because there is a super teeny little tie in Abominable Northwest.
Oh, cool.
And I just wanted to make sure that it would work, that they work. And as far as I can tell, they do. So, awesome. But yeah, that's also something that is on the near horizon. And,
I know there's so much. There's just so much.
Don't believe me. Yeah, believe me. There's so much, and there's past that. There's so much we'd love to be doing like right now.
It's tough. Yes, if only there were like 1,000 different Kickstarters we could just be running all at the same time, and then that'd be practical. We just have. I know. It's been a hot and heavy 2 years. So and a good reason we're keeping up on that is because of your efforts, steering Deadlands in a new and healthy and fun and active direction. And so we appreciate all your hard work on that. But we've taken your hour, folks. So we'll have Brian Reeves on again because there's just so many projects that are up and coming that are awesome. So we'll definitely get you back on actually very soon, Trademark, when that other project we just hinted at comes to light. We'll talk about what that is and all other good stuff. But for everybody else, we'll be back next week with more Savage Universe and Savage Office Hours.
Thank you, John.
Right, we would definitely not on Monday because folks should be enjoying the day off and the holiday.
I saw you call me the Crypt Keeper earlier, by the way, John. And that was a callback to a couple Halloweens ago, or one Halloween ago. Yeah.
I loved your. I didn't play in that game, but I saw all the stuff, the art you posted in the threads, and I was like, oh, that's cool. Because you went back and like pulled some really old classic cartoon stuff. Like, it was good stuff. It was good stuff. And Brian is definitely going to be going to Gamehole Con. So if you want to come and play in some of Brian's games,
come play in my game. I'm going to be running some horror and most likely some fantasy. I need to pin that down like the next day, really, so we can get those descriptions submitted. But yeah, I'm going to be running 6 games at Gamehole Con, and yeah, and
that'll be a good spooky time of the year too, because it'll be October. So
yes,
maybe
some more time for some. I don't know what it'll be exactly, but I will very soon.
Awesome.
I need to very soon.
Right? Yes.
Yep.
So,
thanks for having me on.
Oh, look, and Carl Keyser at the last second. Awesome. Yes, Carl.
Oh gosh. Oh man. I need to make sure that I get a chance to play your game, whatever it happens to be. So hopefully there's hopefully we don't overlap.
Right, and if not, we'll do off book gaming.
Yeah.
We'll find the time. We'll all get together and do some cool shit. But enjoy it, guys. Enjoy your Friday. Go and play some Savage Rules this weekend. I get to play some Necessary Evil tonight with Ronnie and JD and the crowd. So that'll be an awesome time. And we'll see you guys next week. Oh, and I know you look out for your Hell in High Plains arriving at your doorstep. We are in the process of testing out the delivery for Necessary Evil. So if all the tests come back good today and like tomorrow-ish, like hopefully we'll either have that over the weekend or maybe your Monday holiday you'll be able to get Necessary Evil. So yeah, the delivery on that will be presently. To make sure everything we're being careful now. We don't want to have a repeat of the extended delivery of the Rift. So we're double checking all the delivery mechanisms, and if they work out great, then we'll hit the button and you guys will get some files. So enjoy it, have some fun, and now that everybody knows Carl's going to be there's going to be a fight to who gets to register for his game.
I know. One of these days I'll get.
We have to do another cruise or something fun. We'll get everybody staff priority. Anyway,
I'm just great ideas. I will never forgive myself for not going on that. It was just hard because it was during school and I had an elementary school age daughter I had to take care of. So
we will find a way. We'll do it.
Come hell or high water.
Oh, that's an awesome. I mean, what clever people would ever put that in the name of a Caribbean cruise kind of thing? I don't know. Maybe us. It was good.
Yes.
Well, appreciate your friend, amigo, compatriot. What's the mahalo? Mahalo is the general kind of like, hey, adios for Hawaiian.
Mahalo is thank you, but aloha.
Aloha. Here we go. Aloha, everybody. Take it easy.
Bye.